Hello, hi. If you are new, welcome to our channel. We are a group. I know you see a lot of me. You will see a lot of me. I'm the host, Christina, but we are a group of Canadian immigrants who want to share our experience with people who are trying to come to Canada, people who are interested in coming to Canada, and people who are already here in Canada, and share as much of our experience being here and having gone through the process with you guys to help you along the journey, to encourage you. And if you are not new to the channel, welcome back. So let's get into it. This episode is really about helping you guys to understand the difference between permanent residency and Canadian citizenship, right? Because I've posted the how to come to Canada video, right? And that video really talks about how to become a permanent resident, right? And then I've posted the how to become a Canadian citizenship video, which talks about how to become a Canadian citizen. Oh my gosh. They are different. And I mean, they're not very big differences if you were to make a list of the differences. You know, there's probably like 2 differences if you put a list, but the differences, those 2 are still like huge differences in comparison to, yeah, they're huge. Okay, just huge, okay, huge. So first of all, you have to become a permanent resident before you can become a citizen, unless you were born here. Okay, so even if I am now a citizen and I've sponsored my husband to be here, it doesn't mean that he's a Canadian citizen automatically. No, he is a permanent resident and he has to do the time before. Okay, I can't use crime in that sentence. I was trying to rhyme, but it didn't really work. But he has to come here, be here as a permanent resident for a minimum of 3 years, and that 3 years, count 3 years in days, right? So 1,093 days, okay? So he has to be in Canada, physically present in Canada for 1,093 days within the 5 years of his permanent residency, right? So he's not an automatic citizen because I'm a citizen. And even if like I had a child that was born outside of the country and I filed for them, it doesn't mean that they automatically get citizenship, not to my knowledge, right? So permanent residency is where it starts in terms of being a landed immigrant here. As a permanent resident, you can work, you do have to pay your taxes, you do get health insurance and health benefits, and you get to be here. You can open a bank account and do all the regular things that a human being can do to some extent, right? Now, citizenship, and as a permanent resident, you get a permanent resident card. And your permanent resident card isn't necessarily independent of your passport, right? It goes hand in hand. And because you have a permanent resident card is really just a travel document to enter Canada. Nowhere else. So if you're going to the US as a permanent resident, you still have to have a US visa. You still have to have the passport from the country that you're from. And you still have to say on the piece of paper that them said to you on the plane, citizenship Jamaican, or citizenship and whatever country you're from. So that's really what a permanent resident is. And there are several ways to become a permanent resident, right? You can be sponsored. So I sponsored my husband and it's a spousal application. And so now he's a permanent resident. You can go through express entry. And we spoke about that in one of the videos. And I'll put the links to the videos and they'll pop up on the screen as you come along. Or you can just check out our channel and go through the different episodes to see what each of them is, to get in-depth information, right? But right now I'm just going to give you the high level, the different ways to become a permanent resident, and I will attach links to the videos that will give you more information on those, right? So sorry to break that chain. So spousal application, if you married a Canadian, not because you married a Canadian you become a citizen. It's not how it works. It's permanent residency first. You can do express entry. And that's the way I did it, right? I came here, went to school, all that wonderful stuff, and applied for myself. You can also do the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, which is brand new. and it is in the Atlantic provinces, which I know, right? Because I'm a citizen. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Island, maybe? I hope so. I have no way of checking. So, Alexa, what are the Atlantic provinces?
Atlantic provinces is usually defined as New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador.
I got it right. But I wasn't really sure, so it don't really count. You can also, as a minor, so somebody who is 18 or younger, can be sponsored by their parent to come here. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of how to become a permanent resident. There's a couple other new programs that are coming up, right? But all it is really just the application process to come to Canada, whether it is that you're being sponsored or you have enough points to sponsor yourself. That's all I think what it boils down to, really. And that's permanent residency for you. And then once you've been in the country for enough time, so 1,093 days total, so even if it's spread out over the 5 years where you come and you go and you leave and you come and you go, it's not 3 years, it's 1,093 days total, right? So once you have that, then you can become a citizen, and so you apply for citizenship. And the application process for citizenship is surprisingly a lot simpler than any of the application processes that I've done, and I've done a lot. I've done student visa application, I've done work permit application, work visa application, I've had to bridge my work permit, I've had to apply for permanent residency, then I've had to apply for my spouse, and then I've had to apply for citizenship. So of the 7 processes, the citizenship application was probably the easiest, hands down. But when I start going through those in detail, it'll probably jog my memory and I'll probably take that back. But for right now, it was actually pretty simple. And probably, especially since I was fresh out of coming from doing the spousal application, where the application was literally this thick. You're like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. No. So now the difference between being a citizen and a permanent resident. So a citizen, you get a passport. You get a Canadian passport, and when you write on the piece of form, citizenship, you can put Jamaica or Canada or whatever country you're from. Guys, I make Jamaican references because I'm Jamaican, and that's the easiest reference for me. But this is not just for Jamaicans. It's not exclusive to Jamaicans. This is for everybody all around the world who needs to know about Canadian citizenship. Okay? Sorry, not sorry. So as a citizen, you can vote. Permanent residents can't vote. As a citizen, you get a passport, and as having a passport means that when you go to the US, you don't need a US visa anymore. Ha 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 ha. Never applying for another visa again. Straight up. So that's amazing, right? So you can go to anywhere that a Canadian can go without a visa, which is most places in the world. You won't need a visa. So you can go to Europe, you can go to Australia, you can go to the US without having a visa. You have your passport, you go through. And that's it. So I told you, like, the list is kind of short in terms of being able to vote and being able to travel without a visa. Those are the main differences. I feel like there's a third one and I'm forgetting right now. Oh my gosh. Citizenship. Oh, citizenship. Oh, I remember now. Ha! I knew there was a third thing. The difference between citizenship and permanent residency is that permanent residency expires. It expires every 5 years. I knew it. I just knew it. It was in my head and then it flew away and then it came back. So permanent residency, your PR card has an expiry date on it, and it says it expires in 5 years. Now, when it expires in 5 years, you have to either reapply or apply for citizenship. Not when it expires, before it expires. Guys, don't have expired documents. Get a new one before it expires, okay? So Your permanent resident card expires in 5 years. So before the 5 years, you either have to apply for citizenship or you have to apply to renew your PR card or your PR status. PR equal permanent residency. Sorry. And you know, I think in that application, I've never had to do that. I'm not interested in trying to, and you have to pay for it. Like, when you're deciding to come here and when you're deciding to go through the immigration processes, decide what your end goal is, right? Decide if your end goal is citizenship or you're going back to your country, because a lot of people do it, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I don't see the point in consistently renewing permanent residency over and over and over, even though you live here, because it costs money every time you have to do it. No, it's cheaper than citizenship. And so I can understand that probably, you know, when you get to that point, you can say, well, right now I only have money for renewing a permanent resident card versus $700 to apply for citizenship. And then somehow that's kind of makes sense, but you're gonna have to apply for citizenship anyway. So kind of budget for it, you know. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just trying to work through in my mind how to I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, right? But I guess that like sometimes things happen and you have to reapply for permanent residency. Now I get it if you don't live here or if you're not here constantly, then that's different, right? Or if you're not here for the amount of time in your permanent residency to apply for citizenship, then I get it. See, that was the face. The face was trying to think through, okay, this makes sense sometimes. In some way, shape, or form, this makes sense. Find the sense that it makes. And I found it. So, I mean, if you're not spending enough time in the country within the 5 years and you can't qualify for citizenship, then you have to renew your permanent residency, right? So you pay some money, you renew it, you tell the immigration officer why you have to be renewing it, and then you deal with that, right? And I've known people who have had to renew and renew, and it's never been a complicated process. I think the most part is having to justify to the immigration officer why haven't you been in Canada? Why are you a permanent resident if you don't live here? Or different things, right? So the difference between citizenship and permanent residency. Permanent residency expires. After 5 years, it expires. 2, you can't vote if you're a permanent resident, only a permanent resident. And 3, if you're only a permanent resident, you need a visa to go to all other countries that need visas if you are a citizen of countries that need visas to go to other countries, if that makes sense. So if you're from Jamaica, you need a visa to go to the US. If you're a permanent resident, you still need a visa to go to the US. If you're a citizen, you can vote. There's no expiry date. Your passport expires, but you just get a new passport, just like any other country. And visa. No visa. No visa. No visa. No visa. Hey. I know that I seem a lot more excited than you guys understand, or you think I should be, but I'm sick and tired of immigration processes. I'm over it. I'm grateful. I've done my time, and now I want to fly like a bird free. Now I feel fulfilled. So where to start in terms of coming to Canada is to start by figuring out the best avenue for you to become a permanent resident. And then from there, once you're here, you're good. So that's what's up. And thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody on here. Today we are a 600 people community. Yay! So that's exciting and fun. And thank you 600. Thank you 600 for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you thousands who have watched and liked and shared. I appreciate it. Continue to watch, continue to like, continue to share. Please subscribe. The subscribe button is right here on the screen, right here, right over here. It's also down in the bottom where you can click it. Subscribe, turn the notification bell on so that you can get notifications that there is a new episode, or to keep up to date, right? So I appreciate everybody on here. Remember to keep the faith. Remember that no movie goes dream victory. There is a struggle in between. We all have our struggles. And be a survivor, be an overcomer, be a fighter, be faithful, and keep the faith. Okay? Life is just for living. I'm a survivor. Life is just for living. Have fun and see you in the next video.